Hey everybody, welcome back to another your monthly-ish industry updates. My name's Josh, the RV nerd here at Bish's RV, and I think the overall quick, too long, didn't read synopsis of what we're going to hear this month is the industry's right on the cusp of a potentially very uncomfortable phase, and generally speaking, doesn't want to talk about it a lot, but that's what I do. I talk about uncomfortable things. You can ask my family about the conversations I bring up at the Thanksgiving dinner table. I'm going to chapter mark this video like I always do, so you can hop around to maybe the topics that are most interesting to you. And if you appreciate how, we really pull back the curtain and we really just try to provide you with what we call that relentless pursuit of transparency, please share this into like your favorite camping social media group, like our video, and subscribe if you appreciate and want to keep in tune with all the stuff that's going on. Enough of that. Let's get in there. So starting with what I think is one of the bigger events that's happening right now, because for the most part, there's not a lot of big stuff happening in the industry, because everyone's kind of, you'll see the theme here is like battening down the hatches for maybe later this year. But Heartland production has closed. It's been officially announced that Heartland and its subsidiaries, so effectively 3 divisions of Thor, Heartland facilities, Cruiser RV facilities, and DRV Mobile Suites facilities, the production for those has been halted out of those facilities. Now, if you caught a little bit of a news bulletin that I had put out recently, Heartland had recently been reassigned as a subsidiary of Jayco. Rather than its own separate division of Thor, it was recently assigned as a subsidiary of Jayco. And for basically operational efficiencies and effectiveness, it was decided that that production should be absorbed into the Jayco facilities. So this is one of the things I want to get out there. What a lot of people are going to hear or misunderstand or just be unintentionally or intentionally misled to is to hear that Heartland RV is gone. And that's not exactly the case. In the same way that Starcraft and Highland Ridge have seen a similar homogenization and streamlining, Heartland is now under that Jayco banner. Short term, what is roughly expected right now is that Heartland will essentially continue to live on, and their products will be produced out of Jayco facilities. Now, what this does mean, I'm not trying to gloss over some of the ugly details. This means that hundreds of people who were employed at those operational facilities under the Heartland name directly are now out of the job. That really, really sucks. I hate hearing that several hundred people, not too far away from me, have lost their general source of income. That is absolutely the opposite of what I ever want to share. But that is real, and I'm not going to conveniently fail to mention that. There's not a lot of clarity on this right now. And actually, 2 days after I record this video, I will be in a meeting with some of the people at Jayco to try to get more clarity on what this all means, because one of the things that affected us here at Bish's RV, one of the reasons I need to get in tune with this, is our Go Explore product was made by one of those subsidiaries, Cruiser RV. It was made in those facilities. So we need to see what's going to happen with our own Bish's exclusive product. So I'll be getting some clarity on that, and I may actually put out another little bulletin like this in a week or two when I do have all the facts in front of me. What I have right now are some theories and some information that's been shared to me that I want to pass along to you, but keep in mind, this is kind of a moving target right now, so anything I'm about to share may be partially correct or incorrect, depending on how you want to look at it. It might be dead on, I don't know. But here's what I'm hearing right now. On the short term, it's kind of been explained to me that the existing Heartland catalog lineup of offerings will be fulfilled through Jayco facilities. Now, sometimes things like this seems like, what? Why would they do that? A lot of people don't realize that there are times, the industry ebbs and flows, it's feast and famine. There have been times where things like Starcraft or Highland Ridge products have actually been built in Jayco facilities by Jayco staff members, but everything's still branded Starcraft, Highland Ridge, whatever. It sounds like a lot of that is going to be happening on the short term right now. The Jayco facilities have the bandwidth, it sounds like, to be able to overcome that, and that's the operational efficiency they need to keep things profitable, effectively. And that sounds ugly and callous, but that's commerce. You know, if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense, and then decisions have to get made, and this is the decision that was made, and it's not the first time it's happened in the industry. When things bloom back up, you see some of those other facilities fire back up, and some of those other brands tend to move back over there. Like most of the time, StarCraft, Highland Ridge, or maybe now Heartland, has their own production facilities. Currently, in the current market status of things, they don't. And I've made no secret about mentioning that we are in a down cycle of the market right now. Things aren't necessarily in the tank, but they're not exploding like what they were. So that's the short-term expectation. What is the long-term outlook here? Well, this part I want to make very clear is theory of mine based on experience in this industry. For those who are a little newer with us here, I've been doing this since 2009, so a little over 16 years. It's like farmers. I know a thing or two because I've seen a thing or two. All right, anyway, I think long-term, again, for the idea of operational efficiency, you will see an increased level of homogenization across products. Examples. If you look at like a Jayco J-Flight, it is not very different, obviously, from its sister, the StarCraft Autumn Ridge or Highland Ridge conventional series campers, which is what our own Go Play series is based on. It's very, very similar. So there's a heavy level of overlap in that Venn diagram where they have like maybe 5% unique DNA, but like 95% of them is essentially identical. I think that you will see a shift in those Heartland brands toward becoming more like the Jayco things, so that when they are, built in those Jayco facilities, that operational consistency is there it simplifies parts ordering, it simplifies construction, management, oversight, reduces warranty claims. It also, and all of that sounds really good, but also it reduces, in a sense, the number of options and offerings that are available to a consumer, and the actual number of things available within the industry shrinks. And then it becomes very confusing to consumers. You're like, hey, I saw this thing from Jayco, I saw your Go Play, I saw a StarCraft, and I saw this thing from Heartland, and they look almost the same. What's the deal there? And you're right, they are. They could be almost the same. That is my expectation. Now, I don't expect that to be the flip of a switch. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was some auditing and some looking done at the offerings under the Heartland banner and its subsidiaries, and if some editing was done there. Again, that's another thing that I've seen done. When Crossroads was assigned as a subsidiary of Keystone, quite a few of the name brands offered from Crossroads went away, especially in their fifth wheels. And basically what they did is they trimmed it down. Instead of saying, okay, instead of having 4 stick and tin trailers and 6 laminated RVs, you're going to have 2 stick and tin trailers and 3 laminated RVs, because that makes more sense in the current segment of the marketplace. And if things bloom back up, they can always reintroduce one of those things later. But a lot of times people ask, like, why are some of these brands almost identical? It's because of things like this. It's because when there's that condensing in the marketplace, that homogenization effect occurs, and once that's happened, there's almost never any going back. Again, the last 3 minutes of this video is completely a theory of mine, but I'll bet your paycheck that's exactly how it plays out over the next couple years. And that last segment right there, relating to, Heartland under Jayco and the changes that are taking place there, I think really acts as, it really sets the tone for the overall message that this video is intended to provide you today, in the way that I'm interpreting the tea leaves of the RV marketplace today. Anyway, what's essentially happening right now is that there's a lot of stuff kind of looming out there that are a lot of big X factors. Show season was really strong, but it's like every day we have a different message of there's tariffs, there's not, there's tariffs, there's not, there's tariffs, but for some countries, but not for others. And it's causing a lot of unsurety and unease. And when you can't accurately predict the future, the only thing you can really do to safeguard yourself is assume worst case scenario. And I think that's probably the direction that a lot of the production side of the industry is going to work toward to kind of safeguard itself. Again, that's just a theory. I don't know for sure. But what I think is going to happen is I think we will continue to see a little bit more of that streamlining and homogenization, which are very soft and pretty and flowery terms for we're probably going to see a few more brands go away or become identical twins to something else out there so that two brands can effectively be built in one facility, which is otherwise very difficult unless they're essentially identical products. Short term, it kind of sucks. People lose their jobs and consumers get fewer options, offerings, and opportunities. Long term, it kind of plants the seeds for some pretty cool things. When we are in a cycle like this, it provides product designers plenty of time in the factory to prototype new things. So we will likely begin to see a bit of a surge in new floor plan development because they have time to play with things. When business is just extremely on fire, factories don't have free time in the production logs to build and tweak and mess with new stuff. That takes a lot of time. Once the plan is set, they can crank them out fast, but getting there takes a long, long time and a lot of prototypes. So we will probably see around June, July, August, and September a slog of cool new floor plans. But in the meantime, it's gonna feel kind of like when you kink a garden hose, I think. And on that note, let's talk about a big one. Let's talk about pricing and expectations moving through the rest of this calendar year. Right now, the general thing a lot of manufacturers are doing, I don't know if you heard that, but when I said thing, my tongue made a fart sound. It made me laugh very much. Like when you squeeze a ketchup bottle and it farts. I'm just a big stupid kid. Anyway, sorry. Whew, focus. Back to RV pricing. What most manufacturers are doing right now is they're basically saying, until the 2026s come out, we're mostly going to absorb and eat a lot of these costs. One of the benefits that I have of being a Michigan-based location, where my home store here, Coldwater, Michigan, Bish's is obviously nationwide, but the Midwestern store rep very often is either the brand product manager who talks to all kinds of suppliers and gets those sort of insights, or they're like the dude in training. They kind of stay close to the HQ effectively. So the guys that I talk to on a more regular basis tend to have a little bit better feel for what's happening long term. And basically, it seems to be pretty consistent feedback with slightly different numbers, but about the same trend from different brands. Is, yeah, we're absorbing the costs right now, but come June when the 26s come out, best way I can say this in plain, simple terms, everybody, is expect a price surge. I originally had been hearing something like 4 to 6% based on additional conversations I've had with more places. I'm almost expecting closer to 10%, and that leaves me absolutely gutted, as my British friend would say. And that's literally the opposite of the information that I would like to provide to you. But that is what I'm hearing. It's not guaranteed, it's not confirmed yet, but that is kind of the information that I've heard in the undercurrent so far before we get there around June. And that sucks. And if you appreciate how we pull no punches on stuff like that, hit that little subscribe button, maybe share a video around. But it's going to cause some interesting happenings basically out there in the industry. Best way I can describe it, it reminds me of when the price surging was happening during the pandemic period, and I had the exact same takeaway of this as several of the factory guys that I referenced just now, in that during the pandemic period, yes, price surged. Like, unless you were living under a rock and you were completely blind to this, yeah, pricing absolutely surged. But there was a key difference there. During that period, consumers generally had the available funds and desire to spend them. I don't know that either of those last two things is the case right now. Pricing on RVs may very well surge significantly, but I don't know that the extra expendable income to compensate for that and the desire to do it is necessarily there the way it was. I hope I'm wrong. I don't think I am. What do you think? Now, somewhat in contrast to the theories that I just offered up here, there have been a couple reports that came out recently on the folks that did buy during that pandemic area, the COVID buyers, is what it's often referred to. What a lot of people thought is that a lot of people who normally weren't going to camp suddenly bought RVs and were probably going to bail out of the industry very shortly after, and that there'd be this huge wave of barely used RVs you could buy for pennies on the dollar. That just never happened. And then it continued to never happen, and it's still not happening. In fact, statistically, the folks who did purchase during that time have continued to camp at a higher rate, more times per year, than people in previous years on average. It kind of defied the expectations of everybody. It absolutely exceeded my personal expectations. It's gone far beyond what I thought would necessarily happen there. And some additional questions were asked. Could you see yourself updating, upgrading, getting another RV after this? And the responses are vastly higher than again, previous time periods. So the COVID buyers, as it were, not only did they purchase during that time, they really seem enthused by the whole camping experience, and they seem to plan to stay here. And that's potentially good news for the industry, because that was the largest surge of first-time RV buyers I think the industry has seen and likely ever will see again. But here's the extra little bit of information that I like to share. Like, all those stats are wonderful, but when I run them through the filter of practical application, I think what's happened here is a little bit of a different story. I think that these people have continued to camp, no doubt. And I think that they would like to upgrade, certainly. I've seen it. I've seen their interest levels in that when they visit our dealerships, when I meet them at RV shows. The part that I don't see anybody really talking about is I think they continue to use the RV because they purchased it when pricing was basically at the highest the industry had ever seen. And I think that they're kind of married to these things. With the way interest rates and things have changed since then, and the remaining balance on a lot of existing RV loans out there purchased during that pandemic COVID buyer period, I think that these people are kind of stuck with a lot of RVs they have. So they kind of went, well, I guess we got to use it. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of the situation we're in. I've seen a lot of people who would really like to update and upgrade out of these things. The interest is there, but the situation and the environment is not. Their existing loan payoff versus their current trade value is not putting them in the right situation, and interest rates are higher now than they were when they bought their camper. And that means that we have a lot of people still very actively camping in the industry, but not likely to swap out of anything and get something new anytime soon. At least that's my takeaway on it. Kind of curious what you folks have seen out there. One more little segment here on what's happening in the new RV market. We're going to take a little bit of a glance at the used market. But another thing I keep hearing is a lot of these reports, shipments are up 14%. Things are looking great. Don't worry. Shipments are up 14% compared to last year. But zoom out. Take a wider look at everything. What's really happening here? Shipments are up higher than last year, but last year shipments were at a significant valley. Things were way, way, way down. A lot of dealers had already been overstocked from the year before. They were selling off of a lot of aged inventory, and that trend really had continued for most of the year. I think only 1 month last year, shipments exceeded the previous year. So for the first quarter of this year, if you notice over here, the shipments this year are a little bit higher than the year before every month. And I think that's mostly just taking care. Now, to be fair, show season was good. So it's not surprising me that the first quarter of this year, there were a lot of extra shipments. Dealers had stocked up for show season. And at the end of show season, at the last month or two of this bar chart right here, and probably for the next quarter, at least the first month, there were a lot of people who started to hear that things like tariffs or whatever might affect the industry on a pricing function. So what a lot of dealers did, especially Canadian dealers, is they very quickly snagged up every bit of inventory they could as soon as possible and bulked up their inventories more than they normally would have this time of year to help insulate themselves from other challenges later through the year. So they already had inventory pre-pricing surge, basically, that they could sell for a little bit less than newly price surged inventory and make some very good money likely doing it. That's kind of a general theory that I had when I talked to a bunch of dealer people that I know across a lot of other RV dealerships. They basically go, yes, that's exactly what we're doing. So what's happening here is we haven't really seen the effect of the current climate of things from a statistical standpoint yet, because most statistics in the RV industry lag 1 to 3 months behind real time. And I think over the next couple months, we'll start to see some things shift significantly. And I think that message right there, that things are at the status quo now, but are about to change, applies heavily to the used RV market. First of all, we're going to look at the charts that I like to provide you for looks at the used RV market over like the last 5 years, so you can see how things kind of jump up and down. And the reason I want to give you some wide angle view of that is I think it gives you a better understanding of what's really happening here. Because if you just glance at these, I swear, these garbage like AI generated articles out there nowadays, take a look at these charts. It's going to say, the market is mixed. Motorized is down, towables is up. It's like there's zero understanding for what's actually represented within this data. And while you're looking at these charts, I want to share with you what I'm pretty sure is going to happen. Right now, the used market is fairly stable. There are some pretty fair deals at times out there in the used RV market currently. But, kind of like the new RV market, I think used RV prices and by extension trade values are about to spike upwards. Here's what I mean. I have long said, and I've seen it for so many years, the used RV market is relative to the new RV market. If new pricing is up, used pricing goes up. And as testament to that, the number of people who said things like, I bought my camper in 2018 and traded it in for more than I paid for it during the pandemic, because the new pricing shot up to make room for that. You could give way more money on trade for a used RV than it was frankly worth and still be able to flip it in plain English and make a profit on it, because that's the thing on a used RV. The question is always, how much less than new do I have to sell it for, or can I sell it for and still make somebody want to buy it? Can I make money doing that? Well, currently, again, pricing right now isn't reflective of a lot of the things that may happen over the next couple months that may cause RV pricing to jump up in the new RV market. So right now, used RV pricing is still pretty stable. Right now, your trade values are painfully low. A lot of people have seen that. I talked about that. The COVID buyers who would like to trade in, it's not a really good time for them. But we are going to be entering a phase probably beginning around June and a little bit after where that might change. Now, there are some dealers out there that will do and use any sort of little fear-mongering tactic they can to squeeze an extra dollar out of some people. So there are some places in both the new and used RV markets that have already started telling people, well, pricing's going up, so the one that we have in stock now costs you a lot more. That's called, basing your pricing on replacement cost versus purchase cost. There's just different ways to look at inventory that way. Technically, there's no reason the in-stock unit should run more, but some places will run their businesses that way. And that also includes in the used RV market. So currently, if you bought, say, during that pandemic period, or you have an existing RV, trade values are kind of down, but purchase values are a little bit easier. In a couple months, what I think is going to be happening, and really only in a very short 1 or 2 months, I think purchase values are going to go up, but trade allowances will likely also go up, because a lot of existing used RV inventory will, by contrast, look much, much cheaper and get picked off very quickly. And dealers are going to go, oh, crap, we need to get trades. We need to get this guy's business. The new price of this thing went up, so we're going to have to really treat him good on his existing trade-in, and your trade values are going to shoot up. And that's going to feel very, very good, but it's kind of easy way in, hard way out, because purchase numbers are going to go up again. So, depending on the situation you're in, that could be good news, bad news. If you have an existing trade that you're kind of locked and married into, this might be kind of good news. It may create a scenario that's a little bit more conducive to you swapping your RV around. There's still obviously a lot of factors like interest rates, financing, stuff like that in the mix. But if you're a person who's never had an RV, you're looking to get your first one, this may be a little bit more of a painful time to enter the RV market. Again, though, this is all in theory. It hasn't played out yet. It ebbs and it flows. But based on the things that I'm seeing, those are the factors that make a lot of sense to me. And again, very little of the information I'm sharing today, frankly, I think is very confidence inspiring to a consumer. But that doesn't mean it's necessarily not true. And again, if you appreciate whether it's pretty or not, whether it incentivizes you to make a purchase or not, we just put it out there. Hit that subscribe button. Know that we'll shoot you straight. And we'll roll into some other things that are happening out there in the industry today. And if you watch my videos regularly, you know that I feel very strongly the fact that the service side of the industry is perhaps one of the biggest pain points out there and opportunities for improvement, if we're being kind about it. Well, RVTI, the RV Technical Institute, is kind of stepping things up, I think, in a very cool way. Now, what they have offered for the longest time is like a dealership could send some techs to their facilities where they could go through training courses. The level 1 training course takes about a week. The level 2 course takes about 12 weeks, actually. And, you know, if you had techs who are willing to leave their families and sleep in a hotel for a week to go through the training and stuff, you could do that. But when you're talking a 12-week cycle, that's a lot. Now, that's a hybrid in-person and online course, but that's a lot of time. And not everybody can necessarily afford to just be away from their work when they're doing that. Well, RVTI said basically they're qualifying dealers, okay, you make the space, we'll come to you. And, you know, the dealers that are part of their what's it called, like Authorized Learning Plus program, they will actually come straight to their locations to do a lot of tech training. And I think this is a very cool step, again, in the right direction. Anything that improves the after-sale experience and service side of things in this industry, I'm personally a big proponent of. Now, naturally, the follow-up question is, Bish is a member of this program. I don't know, because I don't really interact and overlap in those processes very much. I hope we are. And if we're not, I'm going to advocate very quickly internally that maybe we are, or I find out why we're not, because I want to do everything I can to have better trained, more capable staff members available for our clients. But being real, sitting here right now, I don't know the answer. But that might be an interesting RV shopping question for you. One of the things that I've always felt is you are almost interviewing the dealer and you're buying the dealership as much as you're buying the RV, because like this thing back here, this MPG or that Cougar, there's literally hundreds of places you could probably get those. So why would you purchase from A, B, or C? You know, it's the local people in the dealership and their service department, I think, can be critical factors in that equation. So you might consider asking a potential place that you are considering handing many, many thousands of dollars, are you RVTI partners? What tech training do you provide or have your staff go through? And maybe make that one of your RV shopping questions, asking about service. Jumping over some manufacturing news, Grand Design seems to be announcing that they are expanding their Lineage Motorized division. Actually, what's funny is some eagle-eyed viewers who have been watching my videos that roll out recently, a lot of times I'll go straight to Grand Design facilities to record them. And some people are noticing in the background some vans rolling around, and they were asking, are they prototyping a B-van division or segment? And it turns out, yeah, you were exactly right. What they're coming out with here is the Lineage VT series. Best way I think I can describe this quickly is an adventure van. I haven't had a chance to see them in person. I'm working on making an appointment to go capture them and get some footage of them, assuming you folks actually leave me a comment. With what I'm about to describe, let me know if this is something you'd like to see in detail, and maybe that'll help me prioritize my time. Do I get those, or do I capture something else? But what they're looking at here is something very different from the other things they've had that are made for a lot of like highway use. This is something kind of made a little bit more for getting off the beaten path. as an adventure van. It'll have a couple interesting things I noticed. They have what they're calling their stealth split air system, or split stealth air system, or something like that, where they're getting the air conditioner off the roof. And what that allows them to do, well, first of all, it'll be like, I guess, a 20,000 BTU cooling system. To give you an idea, these travel trailers behind me, with much more cubic foot of space to worry about heating and cooling, typically only have 13,500 to 15,000 BTUs of cooling, and this van's going to have 20. Breathe icicles in that thing if you want to. Sounds pretty awesome to me, actually. They will have an integrated, I call it pop top. I don't know the official fancy pants name for it, but like rooftop tent integrated system on here, allowing you, like, if you just want to use it as a solo or couples are great. You want to bring a small family and sleep 3 or 4 people, in theory, it'll have the capacity for that. And since the roof does not have the air conditioner, they were able to slap a big solar package on this and a 48-volt lithionics battery. And one of the things that they're boasting is, like, this is something made for getting off the highway and out of parks. Allegedly, from what they're saying in their press releases, you'll be able to spend up to 3 days off-grid running the air conditioner with this thing, which sounds very, very interesting to me. Now, apologies, I'm a little bit behind on this one. I had an opportunity, in a sense, to already have footage of this, but I've been traveling for like the last 3 weeks straight, which is one of the reasons I probably got bigger bags under my eyes than normal, and I sound dumber than normal, which, to be fair, isn't really setting the standards very high. So do me a favor, if you're interested, either way, leave me a comment. Let me know, is this something you would like to see, so that I know how to prioritize my time to give you the content you'd like to watch. Also in manufacturing news, Brinkley RV recently made an announcement that will very quickly become a little more detailed and official, even backing up in the verbiage of their warranties, is they are upgrading their warranty to include a 3 years seals and gaskets guarantee, which goes 2 years beyond the base warranty of the RV. So, in a sense, very literally putting their money where their mouth is on one of the biggest, scariest areas that a lot of potential RV buyers have to worry about, constantly sealing the RV. A lot of people don't realize, if you look up most towable, especially towable, some motorized, but especially towable, RV warranty things, it basically says every 30 days after you buy this, you need to at least inspect the seals and somehow magically prove that you did this. And it's essentially, I swear, it's verbiage designed to almost hope the customer fails, so to maybe allow some manufacturers a way to weasel out of problems. That may not necessarily be completely true, but I think there's probably in some cases a definite measure of truth to this. The thing is, they're not really changing anything on the RV. They've always used the same automotive seals and gasket system they're using now, and they are retroacting this warranty to any existing owner. So someone who purchased a Brinkley when they were a little bit newer, you may suddenly find yourself in possession of some extended seals and gasket warranty coverage. That might be a handy benefit for some people, because they're not building the RV any different. They've just put this system out there. It's worked pretty well for them. And one of the things I appreciate is how they've acknowledged that they're not necessarily perfect. The stuff is still assembled by humans by hand and has opportunities for failure, but they are willing to step up and back people on it. And kind of like Grand Design upgraded to that like 5-year frame warranty and whatnot, what you're seeing here is a replication of something that happened to the automotive industry a long time ago. Cars used to have like 30 to 90 day warranties for manufacturer's defects, and then you own it, you know? And then slowly, like first across the line, like one manufacturer started offering a 1-year warranty, but they had to make sure they were building things a little better, and they had to charge a little bit more for their vehicles to cover that. And then eventually it became 2-year and 3-year and 5-year and all the different warranty periods that we have out there now. The RV industry is slowly making its way back there, kind of like the automotive industry did. So piece by piece, step by step, you're seeing manufacturers currently offer extended coverage on kind of specific things, but we might only be a couple years out from a manufacturer offering, at least in a towable RV world. I think in some motorized this kind of exists, like a 3-year full warranty, or something like up to 5 years. Let me ask you, what warranty period and kind of coverage would you like to see on an RV? I like the idea, probably because my expectations are shaped by the automotive industry. I personally really like the idea of something like having a 5-year tip-to-tail warranty on one of those things, obviously excluding wear and tear items like brake drums or something like that. But that's a phrase that feels very strong to me. Understanding I'm going to have to get charged more money up front because those warranties don't come free. Basically, you're prepaying for work you might need to do. It's kind of like health insurance. Health insurance is really cool because you get to pay a lot of money every month for nothing, and then you get to pay a whole lot more after you get sick. It's very, very cool. But yeah, what would you like to see for a warranty? And finally, a tip of the metaphorical cap to New Camp, celebrating 20 years of production out there in the industry. I think that's pretty cool and quite the accomplishment. I'm not super well versed in them because I don't usually get the opportunity to put my hands on them, but basically they're best known for making small teardrop style campers, but very well put together with some very, very nice materials. So a little more spendy than some things, but something that in theory should definitely hold up a little bit better too. Again, I don't have a lot of personal experience with that, but the ones I've put my hands on just checking out at like RV shows, I've always thought were, like, if you're looking for a small camper like that, they're a cool name to have on your radar. So, thanks again for tuning in, everybody. If you like all the information we continue to provide you, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next month, or maybe just tomorrow. I don't know. Until then, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.